Oh, wow. Somebody prepped you guys what to do?
Wow, that's a lot. That's really a lot. Just to be clear, they asked about an intro song, they asked about a walk-on song, they asked about a hype video. This is an overwhelming, but do you want to tell them what we texted about last night? About the top thing that we're doing today?
Yeah, you know, we were texting and saying, what should we do? Should we be doing Q&A? Should we be doing other things? Or should we have a list of questions? And you're like, just have fun.
The most important thing is we're going to have an unbelievable amount of fun, okay? So I want this to be like a very engaging, a very, you know, I don't want this guy in front on his phone, you know, like, like we want to be like interactive. So just you know, we'll have lots of time for Q&A. We just want to have fun. So that's the top thing.
Yeah.
I told him to forget about the questions if he wants, like we can go off script, whatever. So we're going to have a good time.
All right, you guys ready? All right, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Varun, I think you and I have a really interesting background.
Yeah.
Me being
Isn't that we're Indian? They're both Indian.
Well, that's not interesting at all.
We're both in Georgia too, actually.
Yeah, that is really fun. At the same time, you know, the company I started, Terminus, I wasn't the original co-founder of that company. I get a lot of credit for being the co-founder of Terminus and all that stuff. But then I saw a problem and said, hey, this needs to be solved.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about your story. I don't know many people know that story of you. Like, how did you get into Clay and how did it all?
Yeah. It's a very Byzantine story, which is basically, I used to work, I would never recommend this, but I used to work at an insurance brokerage startup, which is, I really wouldn't recommend that. And our CEO wouldn't give me any engineers to work with, but he was like, you still have to grow your business. So I was like running a business unit, like a separate business unit. And I was like, okay, what do I do with that? And this is like, 2018. And so what I did was, which I think is actually a very early form of go-to-market engineering, what I did was I would build tools using, I built products using no-code tools. So if you guys remember Bubble, this was very early days of Notion. I was using products like that. Excel is obviously the original no-code tool. I used a lot of tools like that to build our product. And the bar in insurance, let me tell you, is so low that it worked. And so it was successful and I got into this whole world. So then I left to start a company and, Kareem had already started years before that. And then he basically, posted in one of these Slack groups that I was in that, hey, here's a webinar. But at the time, they didn't have many customers or users. So when I signed up for the webinar, I was the only one who showed up. Like no one else was there.
This was Clay 2 years into it or 3 years into it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, but no one else showed up.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on here? And so I started using the product. They actually wanted to cancel it. I started using the product. And I was like, wow, it was early. They didn't have commercial traction or anything, but I was like, this is special. Like there's something here, And it was very, as someone who's really passionate about how do you bring the power of programming to lots more people, it was very near and dear to my heart. And so I cold emailed Kareem, and he doesn't even respond to me because he's on a silent meditation retreat, meditating about what to do with the future of the company. So I messaged his best friend at the time, Nikolai, and he responds to me, and we hit it off. We spent time together. And then we start working together for a couple months, but then everyone leaves. So Nikolai leaves, they have 3 or 4 people on the team, they all leave. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why? I'm getting married in a few weeks. I'm more excited about this product that has no users than the wedding. You guys built this thing. And I'm like, what is going on here? But then, Kareem and I, we start working together. We end up we decided to work together. We focus on go-to-market as the main focus of the company, launch the product, and then we kind of go from there.
That's really interesting. I think a lesson from that story for both of us has been that, man, the opportunities are no longer the same, right? We were talking about in the backstage around career ladders. How many of you are thinking about hey, you know what? Next year I'm going to be at the next level, like a senior manager or a director or a VP, that level of career ladders. Has that changed now as companies are building, and how are you doing that at Clay today? What advice would you have for them?
The reason this came up, we were literally backstage talking about this. The reason this came up is we both have kids, and there's this school in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, and it's very hippy dippy. It's they have no grades or anything, and it's kind of out there. And I was actually kind of against it for a long time, but I was just telling him wow, maybe I'm interested in this now, and I'm way more supportive of it. And the reason is actually this topic. And so one issue we've had in the business, and there's actually people here at Clay in the audience, they can fact check me on this, but one issue is like, people are like, hey, they're saying like very reasonable things. They're like, hey, here's where I'm at. I want to make more money. I want to have more of an impact. And how do I do that? You know? And the normal response to that at a company is like, okay, well, here's a level. You know, you're a manager, here's how you become a senior manager, and then there's a rubric.
Yeah.
And then here's the things you do on the rubric to get there. And my issue with that is it basically creates a ceiling on your growth, because then people optimize for what's on this piece of paper, which is, may not be the thing that you need at that moment in the business, right? So I'm like, okay, can we throw away the piece of paper, right? But then you have this problem where it's total chaos and it's complete ambiguity, right? And like Kat's over there and she's like, how do I do this? And I'm like, there's no, what do I do? And so it's like very ambiguous,
it's
right?
It's no traditional role.
Yeah. And so how do I actually advance my thing? And then I'm like, I don't know either. You just need to go do something, you know? You need to like take initiative, you need to make an impact, and then you also have to have trust that we'll see that, and then we'll take action on it. So it requires trust in both ways, but you have to be able to operate in total ambiguity, which is challenging. Especially, I mean, like, I'm like this too, by the way. It's like, okay, we go out, we go to schools, it's like, we get the grades in a very traditional way, like everyone's chasing after these gold stars, and then you get into an environment like a high growth startup where none of that really matters. You have to just kind of think for yourself, be creative, and make an impact, and then you have to have a structure that enables that.
Yeah, you know, I have a 15-year-old son right now, and
he just won a very impressive tennis tournament. He's not going to mention you that.
Yeah, he's in South Carolina. I feel like it's like crazy hard work. And then he's asking about like, hey, you know, what college should I go to? And I'm like, I don't know if you should go to college. And he's like, this
is the anti-Indian parent advice, just so you know.
Totally radical. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, do you want to be a doctor? He said, no. Like, okay, do you want to be an engineer? And we'll talk about go-to-market engineer term in a second. And he's like, no. I'm like, well,
you can intern at Clay if you want, so that's an option.
Right. I'm like, you want to talk to people? He said, yeah. I'm like, great, you don't need a job. Like, you need to go build something and you can start something. So I think this is changing the way workforce is built lately in companies. So how many of you over here use Clay? All right. For the rest of you,
a lot of opportunity.
Huge. Can you tell them a little bit about Clay? And you know, here's what we're going to try to do today. And let's see if the time permits and if you guys are ready. In it, we're going to try to do what Varun has called, and he and I have done this individually before, called growth hacking. So if you have a growth hack, like you want it to be hacked, like your company's there, like, hey, look, I'm a $10 million company, and here's my problem. In 30 seconds, if you can say that and tell that to us, we will try to growth hack and give you an answer in 30 seconds.
This could totally be a huge disaster, but it could also be really fun. So it could go either way. Or we'll have, if you don't have that, we could also do live Q&A.
You can do live
any topic, so it's flexible.
So in 10 minutes, just be ready. If you have it, just raise your hand and then somebody will come to you with a mic and we'll try to do that. So tell everybody, what is Clay? What is the genesis of Clay as an idea and how people can think about it?
I mean, like I said earlier, the original genesis was actually not focused on go-to-market. It was more general, and it was like, how do you bring the power of programming to an order of magnitude more people? Now, the focus is go-to-market, right? All the people in this room. And it's how do we arm the people in this room with the underlying primitives so that they can take the most creative ideas that they have and bring them into action as fast as possible, right? How can we arm the people here so that they can grow their business and take their ideas and bring them to life really quickly?
So do you think is there a world, is there a future where there are only workflows that people will be building in businesses as opposed to creating interfaces and login password for every single thing? How do you see that?
I'm glad we're already going off script. This is good. So I think basically I don't think it's like a black and white answer.
Yeah.
You know, so, okay, you know that meme where it's like the bell curve? And then you have the like freaked out people on the edges of the bell curve, and then you have the wizard in the middle of the bell curve. You know that meme?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna kind of be like that, you know? Where, yes, I think for like the small end of the market, these are agencies, small business owners, whatever. And then for the highest end of the market, yes, I do think it'll be kind of like what you're describing, where maybe people are building in Cloud Code, maybe people are building their own UIs and doing all this stuff, and then maybe they're just using APIs from Clay, maybe they are they're just orchestrating workflows, whatever. And then I think for the people in the middle, the wizard section, I think that's the meme. It's like I like Clay is actually going to be driving the orchestration for all of this, and you know, like, that's like where like Yamini was just on the stage, right? And so it's like, okay, where's the data going to be? Is it going to be in HubSpot? Is it going to be in data warehouses? And then like, I think what's happening is for the very first time, the question of where reps are working is being challenged, right?
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, really interesting to see what the evolution of the CRM is.
Yeah.
And then we're obviously kind of separate from that. It's like, okay, how do you take that data and do something with it?
Yeah.
And how do you take it and like use agents to take action on your business?
Well, so this is a big question that has come up several times, which is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was running marketing at Pardot, started a company called Terminus, and we were talking about this idea of account-based marketing, all right? So account-based marketing was still a demand gen role and a function.
Yeah.
A lot of people. How many of you guys are still doing ABM, account-based marketing, or interested in that, doing that? Like most of you all, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You're talking about it, and you have evangelized the term GTM engineer.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many marketers really understand, well, what does it mean to be? I went to marketing school because I thought I'm not a good engineer, or I don't want to be in engineering.
Yeah.
But then you have evangelized that term. Could you break us down, like, how did that term even come about for you, and what does that really mean?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was an accident, as all things usually are. You know, like these things only really catch on when there's momentum in the market too, and these are coincidental in many ways. The story is, again, somewhat Byzantine, which is that we had a self-serve motion. We were like, okay, maybe we should do sales, you know? And then I was like, okay, maybe I should hire salespeople. And then I was like, okay, I'm interviewing these salespeople. And then I'm like, okay, I really don't think these people are gonna be the best fit for selling clay at this moment in time. The product was very complex. It was a highly consultative sale. It was very technical. So I was like, okay, maybe I find people who look like me.
Yeah.
These are operators and growth people, things like that. And so originally, actually, we called these people because GTM engineers, and we had them do sales for us, actually.
Yeah.
But over time, what's happened in the market is that that could only work in clay, you know, not for any other company. And over time, what's happened both in clay and externally, it's like, okay, these are the people who operate centrally in the operational section of go-to-market. So, okay, I think if you look at a go-to-market organization right now, it operates like an assembly line. You have SDRs who are prospecting, you have AEs who are closing deals, you have RevOps who are like kind of maintaining Salesforce, right? Or HubSpot. But they're not like, but because of AI, you're moving from a one-to-one world to a one-to-many world.
Yeah.
And so what's changing is actually the go-to-market engineers operating in the middle of that, and they're removing the constraints for growth. What you guys are trying to do here is just like grow your company as fast as possible, right? And the go-to-market engineers are trying to remove all the constraints for growth, and they are trying to come up with plays that make your sales team more efficient and help you grow, right? So you're talking about ABM.
Yeah.
I'll give you one from this week. I went to the Masters this past weekend. So I grew up in Augusta, actually. So and Georgia's all very near to my heart. And I went to the Masters this weekend, and I bought 100 hats and 100 mugs.
Yeah.
Okay? And for those of you who don't follow golf, like the Masters is a famous golf tournament, and it has like very exclusive merch. And people kind of go crazy for the merch, basically. So I bought 100 hats and 100 mugs, and we're gonna do a very targeted direct ABM campaign where we gift that to CROs who are prospecting using clay.
Yeah.
You know, I can give you another example that's kind of funny and out there, which is that like just so you get a sense of like the type of plays that we're talking about that are very creative. Waste Management is the trash services company. They're one of our customers. They had a very creative idea, which is, hey, let's use clay to look at Google satellite images, okay? Look at Street View, use AI to analyze it, and look at the color of the dumpster outside your home. And then the color of the dumpster indicates what trash service that they're using, and then they use that to know who's using Waste Management and who isn't. And then they use that to run a direct mail campaign in clay to convert those homes to Waste Management.
Smart. Yeah. Smart. That's like the classic case for ABM. Well, so we'll have maybe another 5 minutes, and we can transition into if you have Q&A or like a real problem you want us to growth hack, and say, you guys, just 30 seconds, you just tell the problem you're trying to solve in your company, and we'll just try to answer that question, either through clay or just our experience collectively around go-to-market. As you have built clay as a co-founder, you own pretty much all the go-to-market functions within your company, right? Like, so which departments or functions report it to you?
The business functions, so sales, marketing, success, some of the G&A functions like finance and legal.
And you have been very unorthodox, at least, to say the least, around how you talk about all of it on LinkedIn. I think if you're following anybody following you on LinkedIn, they see you talk about budgets differently, you're spending money differently.
Yeah.
It's a very new way in many ways, because you're not going through a traditional way of like marketing. Like you could spend the $100,000 at Masters and try to get maybe 1% of what you're probably going to get for just buying mugs and hats at it, right? So how did that idea come about? How have you been able to do that, and why you do that?
Actually, I think a lot of this might come from my background, which I worked in politics actually for many years.
Yeah, I saw that.
Before coming into tech. And I worked for Hillary Clinton, actually. This is Georgia, so this might be unpopular. But basically, I worked for Hillary Clinton for like 4 years. And
you lost half the people.
I know, I already lost half the people. And wading into politics in any conference is going to be dangerous. But let's go for it for a second. And what's interesting about that election in 2016 is it's kind of like startups, actually, and product market fit. And bear with me for a moment. This is like your classic, I did this, and here's how it applies to B2B SaaS kind of analogy, but bear with me. Like, basically what's interesting about that election is Hillary had a very top-down thesis for why she should be president, Trump, and again, you can guess where I fall on him, like, for all his faults, he had a very bottoms-up thesis on why he should be president, And usually, like, one reason why he won that election is he had more of a pulse on where the people are, and he was able to be more authentic in how he communicates to them. Yeah. A constant criticism of Hillary is that she was so scarred from the 90s and the media stuff that she was never, like, I actually traveled with her every day, and I saw a very different person than the person you probably saw. And that disparity, that dissonance, is what creates the issues, right? Yeah. Someone actually at Clay just came up to me recently. He's a new hire, and he told me that the one reason he joined was that consistency of authenticity at Clay, where he was like, hey, you, Varun, are the same in meetings as you are on LinkedIn, as you are here, and it's very consistent. It's actually one reason we have this guy Puneet on our team, and we made him our head of people and our brand at the same time. He later realized he didn't love HR stuff, so now we have a formal head of people, but for a long time he was our head of people and brand. And the reason for that is we want to have a tight feedback loop. And so we want to have no dissonance between what we say externally in the brand and internally in the people. Because that's when you have dissonance like that, that's when Kat gets unhappy and that's when she leaves, And so that's what you're trying to do. So anyways, coming back to like the marketing, the whole point of all of this is to be authentic. Yeah. It's to be who you are. That's how you win. That's how you be legendary. Is like, you can only be legendary and win if you are yourself better than anyone else, because that's your unique advantage. Yeah. That's the same thing. It's go-to-market alpha. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. That's like that's how you win. And so, it's like that, and that's how you stand out. Because my God, guys, like, B2B software marketing is one of the most boring shit you could possibly imagine, And like, part of it, especially in the early days, is just standing out. Yeah. To be real. Like, marketing, especially in the earlier stages of it, 99% of it is standing out.
But you didn't have marketing background, did you?
No, yeah.
And I think that's what makes marketing cool for us, because I didn't have marketing background either. Yeah. So when I look at a standard, someone who's done marketing and they're going through all of it, I'm like, but that's psychologically doesn't make sense. And
to give you an example, just yesterday, literally yesterday, we launched a product feature called Functions.
Oh, I love
it. Which is like a power user feature, kind of niche. And I can't take any credit for this, by the way, but our team found a world famous pizza chef in Brooklyn and made an entire ad about pizza and how it relates to functions. And it was lit, okay? You should go to my LinkedIn and check it out. It was amazing. And I can't take any credit for it. They came up with the ideas themselves, they executed. They didn't even tell me about it until the ad was finished. But that's the kind of creativity you need. And by the way, we spent $0 on that. $0 we spent on that. I mean, like a little production cost, and we're gonna send them some sneakers, but like $0. And like, just this week, Legora hired Jude Law to be the face of their brand. And that's gonna cost you millions of dollars a year, let me be clear. Yeah. And
a lot of red tape, a lot of all the other stuff. And
a lot of time. Yeah. And so that's like the difference,
Yeah, love it. All right, so Billy, are we ready? We'll do some growth hacking. If you have questions or you want to go through like, hey, here's my business problem, 30 seconds.
Anything's fair game. Yeah. We can do it, yeah. Okay, we already got one right there.
All right.
Which one? Middle?
Right.
She's very excited over there.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Billy, you need to count your steps. Let's go. Give it up to Billy over there.
Come on. All right, name, where you're from, and then your question.
Hey everyone, I'm Fiona Simpson. I work at Boomi, and I have a very important question, highly topical. I'm going to be in Brooklyn next month. I'm speaking at RevFest, and I need to know where the best pizza in Brooklyn is.
So it is this place called Lucali. It's a little tricky to get a table. So the way you would do it is you have to line up at 3 p.m. Sometimes like 2:30, 2 o'clock, and wait like 30 minutes to 60 minutes, and then you'll get a table probably. But Lucali is amazing. Tafara is really far out there, but it's also amazing in Brooklyn. Those are probably top 2 in Brooklyn.
Hey, right here in the middle.
Act right there. All right.
And where you're from?
Bhatia, right here, 10 minutes away. I have one of those case studies if you want to play. So we're a nonprofit focused SaaS company. It's an operating system of associations. In your political world, we serve a lot of local governments and county and municipal associations, that kind of thing. The growth problem we have, we're going to grow about 1.2 million this year, 1.3 million this year. We're looking at about 2.5 million next year. And we're doing that with a very small team of 3 people in our sales, right? So we're ready to scale, ready to grow. We got to figure it out. We got to figure out the BDRs. We've got 1 BDR and we've got 1 AE. We're ready to sort of hire the people. The problem here is every time you hire somebody from the classical sales background, it doesn't really work too well in the association world, too relational, too political, that kind of thing. You hire somebody from the association world, and they don't know how to sell. Help.
Yeah, I mean, this was the problem I had, just to be clear. So it's the same issue. I have a lot of empathy for this problem because because basically we have the same issue. And the last thing I wanted in the sales team originally when we started was a transactional sale. Like I wanted it to feel deeply empathetic, deeply consultative. Now, just to be clear, the best salespeople in the world are this. They can do that, and that's what they do consistently. The problem is, of course, I knew nothing about sales. I was not set up to evaluate these people and set them up for success and support them in that way. And so I took a shortcut, which is like finding people elsewhere. Now, the answer to your question is like, okay, you can hire these nonprofit people, but they don't know how to sell. I think the way you shortcut that is you find people who are passionate. It doesn't matter if they can sell or not, honestly. In the early days, if you are passionate about something, genuinely passionate, it solves for most things. Obviously, you have to be eager and hungry and curious and whatever, but like if you're actually passionate, people feel that, and that solves for most of the issues. And let me tell you, you can teach people sales. Like you really can. And we did it, and our team has almost 40 people, and like 80% of them have not done sales before. We are now expanding the profiles at Clay to hire way more traditional sellers. But we're doing that for 2 reasons. One, we have a great sales leader in Becca who can actually teach people this and can like coach them and grow them, and we have a process and system to support them. And 2, we have to scale like crazy, you know? And we have to go from 40 to 100 sellers this year right now. And I can't do that if I'm like so picky about my profile. And so, but we got really, really far. And the funny thing is everyone would tell me, oh, you can't do this past 3 people, past 6 people. But the thing is when you're the only one looking for them and you are loud about it, you can find them, and you can find people who self-select into it, and you'd be surprised at how many people there are.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, who we got next?
Right here.
Hi, everyone. Anatoly Shulman, Cox by SAI. 2 things. 1, best pizzas in Bronx, New York. You got to go there, but usually you won't find the line because nobody goes to the Bronx.
Okay, noted.
Some of the best pizza ever. 2, how does a company like mine, because we build something that lives in things, such as, you know, a Grammarly.
Sorry, say that again. What is
We build a company that lives in things. Like it lives in Clay, it lives in the Salesforce, it lives in, you name a platform, HubSpot.
Sure.
How do we go about partnering with a company like Clay?
Oh, well, we have a booth right outside, and there's like 10 people on our team, and you can just go up to one of them and try to convince them. That's what I would recommend.
Well, you know, another part that you should think about is also, we had like in early days of Terminus as well, we had a lot of new partners, and some of the partners are still those is like, you just go help clients be successful with be successful with it, and they will reach out to you. They will find you.
Yeah, that is, by the way, the easiest way to make $1 million right now.
Yeah.
Look where we are, by the way. We're at Rev Partners, and I'm not trying to invite competition to our hosts.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, look at those chandeliers. They seem pretty successful. And the demand for clay services is kind of through the roof right now. And you could start an agency around clay and make a bunch of money very quickly if you're focused and know what you're doing. And there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, I'll start right here.
Varun. Rajan Durti, co-founder of OrcaWorks.ai. So last year, OrcaWorks is an enterprise AI agentic platform. It scales AI platforms. We automate workflows. Last year, we really got our moat in engineering. We built it the right way. This year is all about scaling it to our 1 million, but with a very small team, just with one AE and a couple SDRs. The challenge we have here is it's a very engineering-centric platform. So really scaling that sales team for them to really sell it is the challenge. How do we go about this?
Right. Say the last part one more time, scaling the sales team. Help me understand the part.
I wouldn't say even scaling the sales team. It's really getting the sales team to sell this complex engineering platform. That's really the challenge. How do we get over it? And finding the right sales talent to do that is the challenge that we're facing right now.
Do you, just as a starting point, how many customers do you have? What's your revenue? You said you're trying to get to $1 million this year. I guess my question is, why aren't you selling it right now? Do you have product market fit?
That's really what we're figuring out right now this year. Till we hit our 1 million ARR, I don't think we would say product market fit. But we have our first few customers signed up, and we are hitting our small to medium businesses right now. And we did that to a classic outbound AE organization, but the challenge is, again, training the AE to really sell its company.
So that I think is my point, which is that I think you shouldn't train the AE right now to sell it. I think you should just keep selling it, and you should sell it until at least $1 million, if not more. And now here's what I think you can do to save some of your time. You can keep hiring the SDRs to help you handle the pipeline that you're doing and prioritize things and cold call or whatever. But I think you should just be the AE for as long as possible. And I will bet some real money that if you get product market fit, get to 1 to 3 million in ARR, you won't have as much difficulty in training AEs to sell because you will have done it so many times and it's proven and there's a playbook. And well, not a playbook, but there's something there and you can emulate it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I'll add just one quick thing to that is that at Terminus, we, until 5 million, we really didn't have a full-blown sales team. We had people who were doing and supporting all that stuff because it was a new thing. Especially if it's a new thing, you said it really well before, is you need to be so passionate about it. And right now, who could be more passionate than you selling the thing if it's that complicated for somebody? So you have to really go through 1 to 5 million. I think especially now, I don't think people shouldn't be hiring a whole bunch of people on sales, especially at such an early stage, because you still need to prove it.
If you don't have anything repeatable, you're not setting them up for success.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
Nadia Davis, Calgary, Marketing Analytics, and you guys crack me up. Sangram, I know you, but I never knew that somebody from Augusta could be funny. Maybe that's your...
Wow, huge take on Augusta. Wow.
I like Augusta. My husband ran a marathon there. There's nothing wrong with Augusta, but anyways, Sangram, I need to connect with your son and give him sound college advice, because I don't think you're in the ballpark, but that's after.
He needs all the advice he needs because he doesn't listen to me anymore.
No, we're trying. The question that I have is more your take on something that could be a philosophical thing, and that's institutional utility of AI, how you guys see it. And it comes from the space where, Varun, you were talking about Clay doing orchestrations and stuff, and kind of orchestrations of rules and processes of how businesses run or how processes run. Businesses are built on processes, teams are built on repeatable, scalable set of steps. And that's what institutional AI would contribute once it's there. However, when you think about individual utility, AI is the antagonist of structured, scalable, organized, repeatable. It's more like discovery, more like exploration, more like ad hoc, right? So we got these two very different things that are happening. And Yamini was talking about leadership in AI and kind of, bringing it down to the smallest usable case. But how do you scale that? And I know there's no answer to that. It's more like philosophical take of what I think it will be. Because how people use it and what they find utility and interest in is very different from how you would roll it out at organizational scale with tools like Clay, potentially.
I think I just pushed back there a bit, right? Like just on our team right here, we have like Nick and Tong and Chris right there, and they're on our go-to-market teams, and you know, your point is like, okay, how can you use this in such a structured, scalable way? And I think that we are using Clay to impact their lives on a daily basis in a scalable, programmatic way. And so that could mean, hey, like let's programmatically send them pre-meeting notes before they meet with anyone so they know what's going on. Clay, by the way, is very open-ended product. So there's like, how do you tailor the content for them so they're very prepared, right? How do you, like, I'll give you an example. Vanta, one of our customers, before using Clay, they took 3 to 4 days for their reps to follow up with their customer because they were so booked on meetings. Now with Clay, we draft follow-up emails for them programmatically that they can send immediately. That's gone from 3 to 4 days to just a few hours for them to follow up, right? And so like Clay, he was asking me earlier about like how we're interacting with Salesforce and backstage. And I was like, actually Clay is reading Gong calls in the back end and using that to update Salesforce automatically, right? And so I think I just pushed back a bit because I think, yes, sure, on a one-to-one basis, AI is about discovery and finding things, but I think this concept of actually how you have go-to-market engineers in the middle and orchestrating things for everyone else, that's how we're building things that make Nick and Tong and Chris and everyone's life like way easier.
Is there, just to add on to that, what are your thoughts on like this revenue per employee idea that has been running around a lot lately?
I don't think it really matters. I think you have to win. You know, like we have a very good revenue per employee metric, I suppose. We are well north of 100 million ARR and have like 300 and change employees. That's very good, but it's not something I track.
Yeah.
You know what I'm tracking? Are we winning?
Yeah.
You know, like, are we dominating? Like that's what I'm tracking.
Yeah.
Like, look, okay, sure, like Yamini maybe has to think about that because she's running a public company that reports to the street, you know, and like people are hounding her on efficiency and stuff like that. We are in like a dogfight, you know, we are in a battle and like I can't hire fast enough. Speaking of which, if you want to join Clay and live in New York, San Francisco, or London, please apply.
Send him a pizza and then, you know, you'll get...
Like, it depends on the business. Like this guy over here, like he doesn't have time to think about revenue per employee. He's trying to get product market fit, you know? Like, so I think it just depends on the stage you're at. Like we're in the most competitive market that's existed ever probably, right? And so we're just trying to win and like earn the right. Like honestly, nothing would make me happier, Sangram, if I had the right to think about revenue per employee because that would mean that we have won.
Yeah.
You know? Or at least are close to it.
Yeah, I love it, love it. All right, we got
Timer say there.
it says 7 minutes.
All right, we got time for about 2 more right here. I got 1 and 2. So I already got my 2 selected, so we got a lot of hands raised. And I think if there's other questions, right, Varun, your team's here to answer this part. We can do this one-on-one during the breaks. So right here we have 2 more.
George Galati, asking for a friend.
Okay, great.
You almost gave the answer. A data company in B2B, $100 million of revenue, stalled at $100 million bucks for several years, profitable but needs to grow. Thoughts?
Well, I think the issue is that data is challenging right now. We would know because we spend a lot of time on it and we have like dozens and dozens of data partners. The data market generally is kind of interesting because you have like a handful of products that have venture funding or public scale, and that's 5 to 10 in that range, right? But then you have dozens, if not hundreds of data vendors that don't have that expectation and are more run by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people and are very profitable and are growing like crazy on Clay, you know, because we're handling a lot of them, helping them with sales and marketing so they don't have to do that, and helping them on their distribution, and they're crazy profitable and growing. And the issue is that what's happening is that the long tail is kind of eating at the primary ones because the brand name and the value of the brand is disintegrating. Now, not on top of that, the problem you have is you have AI happening, and AI is commoditizing a lot of the data too, right? Because you can get a lot of data points through LLMs, and not only that, you can get very unique data points that you've never even heard of or conceived of through LLMs, right? Like dumpster colors, right? And so that's like, you're getting like pushed on both sides there. And so you're describing one of the 10, 15 companies that have real revenue scale in data, and that's like a tough spot to be, right? We're trying to partner with some of those because we're saying, hey, we can actually help you grow faster, and we can help you expand into this SMB world and the self-serve world, which where you don't have. But I think the question I probably have is I'll give you an example of a business that might have a wedge, right? Which would be Cognizant. Cognizant is a data vendor. I don't think they're at 100 million yet, but I think that they have something that they can stand on, which is, hey, this is the best European data, right? And not only that, but it's highly secure and it's highly compliant with all the things. That's something you can stand on and something you can build around. But if you're in a different position and you have data that's getting commoditized by AI or by the long tail of vendors, you're in a much more challenging position. And so what I would recommend is either find something that can be a moat, like what Cognizant is trying to do, or move into data that can't be commoditized, right? Mobile phone numbers would be very hard, or something like that. Things or things for small businesses that aren't online, right? Things like that are very hard to find.
All right, go right in the middle. One last, yep.
Hi,
Give me one more. We have 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay. Candace Bazemore, Morehouse College. One of the things that we keep hearing people talk about is scalability. And so I've been in a bazillion of these AI discussions, right? And one of the biggest concerns that keeps emerging is sustainability, right? You have everybody trying to race to scale, and you're having a problem finding people, right? So the people you do find are leaning on agents, but there may not be someone who knows what all the agents do when they start to break down. So what is the approach to degrading agentic system that you may build?
I think I feel like there's a lot of questions in this one. So I think that, first of all, my philosophy on this as a general point, because you're asking about scalability, sustainability, both in the AI context and in the company context, this may not be the right approach, but my approach is people on my team bring this up to me all the time, basically, in the company context. Thankfully, no one has brought this up to me in the group of 9 people from Clay here, so it doesn't feel like I'm calling them out in particular. But just yesterday, someone was complaining to me about this. And honestly, my feedback, which may be wrong, by the way, is chill, basically, and let's just keep going and don't worry about it. Clay operates with a maybe alarmingly little process. There's not many meetings, and it leads to chaos, right? And we kind of push the boundaries on that chaos, right? Kat, I guess I'm calling someone out. Kat literally last night was like, hey, we should hire this chief of staff of marketing to make things feel more coordinated and less chaotic, right? So I think we push things to a boundary there, because I think not that we like the chaos in this organization, but we want it to, it breeds a lot of the creativity and lets people run and doesn't make people confined, and people get unhappy when they get bogged down. So that's on the company context. On the AI side, on the agentic side, yes, I think the only way you really do this is if you organize your team correctly. And so having things run centrally is probably the best way of doing it, especially on the go-to-market side, where so much depends on how the inbound routing is handled and how the reps are doing. So I think setting up this go-to-market engineering team and having all of them kind of orchestrate all these agents to go do whatever you're doing, whether it's through Clay or some other product, that is probably the best approach. So it leads to fewer issues, and you can set up for success.
Yeah. I'll just share this real quick. As a research company, we look at a lot of what's happening in AI, and I think a lot of people are creating a ton of agents that are just dying or breaking because there's nobody seeing what's happening with it. And so our thesis on this is that you should think about this as creating a super agent. Or even better is an employee that you don't want to lose ever, because that employee has all the context around what the company does. That person knows what works, what doesn't. So if there is something that you can build when it's possible, that is a super agent that connects with your brand, connects with your demand, connects with your delivery at the business level, it then allows you to then not worry about what's going to break. You know that the context layer will always be there. Today, a lot of companies are just getting excited because they can launch hundreds of agents.
I will just say on the hype thing, this is a little counterintuitive and a little, against my interest. But I think basically there's like a crazy amount of hype right now. And I think that companies like us, by the way, are talking our book more or less and are talking in our own incentives. And I think it creates, like if you go on X or LinkedIn, there's like a crazy number of people who are like, oh my God, look at this thing I built on Cloud Code. Like, can you imagine the FOMO like that you must be feeling, you know? And so I do think there's like a lot of this right now. And I think there are some real things here that are impacting how
$100 million yesterday on LinkedIn, like what we're talking about.
Like I think there is like some real things here, but I would just like encourage people to like look things themselves, not think about the hype, just actually do things that actually make a difference for them and focus on the specifics. Because a lot of people are operating in their own interest, including us, by the way. And I think, by the way, all this will happen over time, but it will take time. And I think like we're like a little ahead of it right now.
Yeah. And we're almost out of time. So thank you so much. And Varun, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, for the lesson. Cheers. That was great.